You have a duelist like a Reyna or a Phoenix jamming their face up in garage, back up. Your duelists, y'all don't have nothing to defend the site. Y'all don't have nothing to stop them from pushing. Maybe flashes. If you flash them, sure. Maybe Phoenix can throw down a molly to stop them from pushing the site. Only about 0.0000003% of all YouTube users is subscribed to my channel. Let's change that. Subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any more of my content. Enjoy the video. Why you lose on defense in Valorant? Maybe because sometimes people push a little too hard, right? Or when your forces are spread out, right? And you need to say, for instance, we're on Ascent, right? Haven. We're on Haven. 3 sites. We're on Haven. 1 on B, 2 on A, 2 on C, right? Enemy team pushes C, full 5 people. Let's say 4 people. Let's say we assume there's 5 people and there's 4 people. If they're pushing C, somebody is probably pushing garage from grass, right? So if it's maybe one person, there's maybe one person grass or one person pushing garage. Sometimes there are 2 people pushing garage and 3 people pushing C long, right? You say there's C. Whoever's on C, there's C. The 2 people on A start to make their way over. The person on B starts to make their way over, maybe peeks garage and tries to hold garage. While the other 2 people are on their way over from A, the 2 people on C are trying to like hold it down and make sure that they kill as many people as they can before everybody gets there. Instead of backing up from the site, maybe trying to get one pick, playing safe, maybe getting a pick, backing off, allowing them to come onto site, and then retaking the site. People don't understand that sometimes it's good to just play retake, to try to retake the site, instead of trying to slam your face as 2 people on a site into 4 to 5 people and then dying before the people from A even get to join the fight. That's just an example of why people lose on defense.
At most ranks, coordinating on attack is as impossible to do as not finishing that entire family-sized bag of Doritos once you've opened it. That's why the most prevalent style of play is to face rush 5 people into a site and overwhelm the defense, or get mowed down trying. If you saw my video explaining FaZe's attack style, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about and why this works even at the highest levels of play.
Yes, this works. And if it works at the highest levels of play, you gotta be damn sure it works at the lowest levels of play. But the problem with people trying to rush a site is that people will get scared when they see one person go down. They see one person go down on the team and they all of a sudden back off because they're like, I don't want to die. I want to get kills first. I don't want to get on the site. Get on the site. Try it. Try first, because there's more than likely not 5 people holding a site. There's usually like 1 to 2 people holding a site if y'all got 3 sites. If it's 3 sites, there's 1 to 2 people holding a site. If there's 3 people on A, there's probably 2 people on C. And the only reason that would probably be there's nobody on B, right? There's nobody on B. If there's 3 people on one site and 2 people on another site, on a site that has three sites, then they might have a Sage, right? But if they have a Sage and Sage walls off B, she's either still on B or holding garage. One person on C usually, and everybody else is on A. Sometimes there's 2 people on A, maybe 2 people on B, 1 person on C. There could be any number of them, but there's not 5 people on one site. So if you take 5 people and you jam them into the site, you're gonna get at least 2 kills and have more people on site and have site control. And then they gotta retake. But people get too scared when they see one of their teammates get popped when they go on site, and they're like, "Oh, let me back up. Let me back up and try to kill that guy." And while they're milling around at the bottom of A long, trying to come into A site, they're just milling around down there at the bottom of the ramp. The rest of everybody else is coming over to the site.
If the attackers get rolling, it can be an absolute nightmare to play against on defense. So I wanted to make a video about how to counter this style of play. And who better to use than the Masters 1 champions, Sentinels, who beat FaZe and their aggressive mayhem style of play 5 times in a row during the tournament. Round 3 is a really perfect example of how to play against raw aggression. Look at how Sentinels plays a very bend or break style of defense. Shazam goes for an early pick with the operator, misses his shot, and then falls back deeper into the site, instead of re-challenging for position. Zoms, meanwhile, is holding the choke point from as far back as possible for an easy retreat. FaZe, because they are FaZe, continue to look for aim duels and push forward, and this means that Marv walks directly into an op shot. Again, Shazam falls back after shooting even farther to avoid being rushed, and this has now bought plenty of time for Sentinels to have all 5 players around the site. The most important thing here was to not
back up.
Anybody, because
back
now
up.
they have a 5 against 4 advantage.
I love when I see people on my team push deep into, like when we're on split and we're defending split, right? You have a duelist like a Reyna or a Phoenix jamming their face up in garage when everybody is spread out over site at the beginning of the site. Back up. Your duelists, y'all don't have nothing to defend the site. Y'all don't have nothing to stop them from pushing. Maybe flashes. If you flash them, sure. Maybe Phoenix can throw down a molly to stop them from pushing the site. Sure. Maybe he could throw up his wall to stop them from pushing site. Do they have to stop pushing through his wall? Not really. Could they push through his wall? Maybe. What are the chances that he's going to die if he's pushed up in garage? Very, very high. Especially especially on the first round. Maybe he gets a pick. He dies. They push on the site. Maybe there's one more person holding heaven. Maybe all 5 people didn't push garage. Maybe 1 or 2 people went mid. The other 3 people push garage, kill Phoenix. 1 of them dies. 2 push on. The other 2 push up mid, kill the person in heaven, take site. Now you gotta wait for the other people to come over because y'all didn't back up far enough to allow you to stay alive and have an exit plan or escape plan in case things didn't go well and they 5-man pushed or whatever, or they hard pushed the site. Maybe you back up, you stay further back, you try to take some shots at them. If they're pushing too fast, you leave. Leave the site and retake with your team. Sometimes you got to do that. Maybe that might not work all the time, but sometimes you got to do that.
In terms of numbers. After regrouping, Tens makes an aggressive play and finds another kill to give Sentinels a 5 against 3 hold, and this means that Sick can now kind of drift off site to make sure that there's no flank coming or any sort of rotation. However, as soon as Corey gets a pick on Dapper, Sick immediately returns to the site to make sure that they keep that numbers advantage for the fight. Sentinels is basically employing this sort of logic that more players alive means better chances that you can just kind of trade your way to victory.
Yes! More players alive! Stop giving the other team ones. They be taking 1v1s all the time. Don't make it fair. Don't make it fair. Try to make it as unfair for the other team as possible. If you stay with your teammates or try to stay around your teammates or watch your teammates or try to trade out your teammates, if you make that a priority in your head, more of us alive trying to trade our teammates and watch our teammates' backs means you make it more unfair for the other team. If the other team is doing that, if the other team is giving you guys ones, they're not going to be ones. They're going to be 2v1s. 3v1s. Play together. Pay attention to where your teammate is at. Sometimes you can't always play together. Sometimes y'all get split up, but be safer. Try to make it back to them. Try to make it as close to them as possible. So that way, if one of y'all gets killed, the other one can trade you.
Going 1-for-1-for-1, and if you have more players, obviously you will be the last one standing. You can also see that once Dapper dies, Sentinels becomes very passive again, daring FaZe to press forward, and once again Sick rotates off to check middle. As he does this, however, FaZe presses forward, but walks right into the players that are holding position, and Sick then rushes back to site to make sure that they have that numbers advantage and secure the round. The next gun round is pretty much the same. Shazam goes for an early peek but falls back as FaZe invests a bunch of utility to set up their push. As he does this, Zombs again holds a very passive far back angle, and the rest of the Sentinels begin to rotate to site. Sentinels doesn't give FaZe any chance to take any aim duels or find a pickoff with their positioning. And I want to briefly contrast this with the defensive round from the Envy series against FaZe to show the difference in how quickly Sentinels commits to making sure that they have these rotations in place and that they don't take any unnecessary aim duels. Unable to get their first pick, FaZe resets and then goes for a showstopper to try and dig Zombs out of the back corner that he's playing in. They invest a recon dart, a slow orb, and of course the rocket, which misses, and Zombs is able to fall back into cover again, just avoiding conflict as much as possible. Having invested so much utility, however, FaZe wants to get something out of it, and they press forward, and Zombs finds an easy...
Are they moving forward? See how they're moving forward together?
FaZe wants to get something
They're moving forward together, except Jet goes off here. I mean, you know, they have comms. I don't know what their comms are, but at least they know what's going on. They have Jet pushing in deep. Pushing in deeper, but then you have, you know, because it's an odd number of people. And you got 2 and 2. You got people together. You got people watching each other's backs, ready to trade each other.
Press forward, and Zombs finds an...
They're looking for Zombs or Omen back there in the back, and then you have these two back here, and they're kind of like maybe looking out for Jet over here, right?
Easy kill before once again falling.
Jet looks like she gets a kill.
Back deeper into cover. Just look at this cluster of Sentinels players in the back of site. It's making it almost impossible for FaZe to clear the site without walking directly into an absolute hail of bullets from all angles. And though Shazam does get picked off, the Sentinels are so densely packed onto the site that it's just impossible for FaZe to push them off, which means that the attackers simply have to just kind of feed into this immovable defensive position, having used a bunch of utility already. Now, not every single round will go as planned. Against aggressive teams, sometimes pickoffs will happen. And in round 6, we see FaZe get their first opportunity to take a round when they find an initial pick on Dapper. Instead of trying to reinforce the choke point though, Sick shows some very good defensive fundamentals and instead falls back to a much safer part of the site. This positioning denies the attackers a second kill and also allows the defenders to rotate in with some sort of information about what's going on because the site hasn't been completely overrun by attackers. And sure, the Sentinels have the gun advantage, but FaZe has won plenty of economy rounds by finding that first pick and quickly turning it into 2 and
this
more
is old.
by throwing bodies at a defender with a better weapon than them. Round 8 is the next gun round, and this time we see Dapper holding B much more passively, having learned his lesson. As soon as he sees the pressure coming, he falls back to the site and actually puts up a sage wall in front of the default plant spot to force FaZe to push deeper onto the site and go around it. These kinds of annoying, low-risk delay tactics are super effective at slowing down a full-on push. Sentinels uses the time to quickly rotate more players to B. Corey finds a kill mid, however, and FaZe immediately tries to throw the round into chaos by teleporting their Omen into kitchen and flanking Sentinels from multiple sides. This leaves Tens on an island, and FaZe is quick to punish him. Because they were able to rotate over as a team, however, they get the trade, and left in a 3 against 3, consolidate their strength into one area, completely giving up the A site. With 3 players in the area, Sentinels is able to watch.
But this is all team-based play, and you can learn things from this. But this will never usually happen in matches because there's not enough people that are playing the game that understand things like this, or that can watch something like this and be like, "Oh, dang, it is pretty good if we stick together." They just play the game and they're like, I'm gonna get all the kills. Like that's I'm gonna be top frag, and when I'm top frag, everybody else on my team is trash because they're not doing anything. Meanwhile, the rest of their team is trying to do something, but they need your help because you're the person that's fragging out and getting all the kills. But you're getting all the kills at at spots that don't really matter that much or are not very impactful. You're getting these low impact kills, and then the other team is getting high impact multi kills, and then we lose.
All of their angles, and this allows them to punish the individual pushes from FaZe as they try to close out the round. Faced with wild aggression and a lot of very individual plays from FaZe, Sentinels avoided playing the ego game and trying to outduel FaZe on pretty much every single map. By not giving up early map control through taking these risky duels, they forced FaZe to actually work really hard to get full site control.
Yeah, so you let them push into site, right? You let them push into site or try, make them have to actually try to push into site. So when they push into site, you punish them for getting onto site. You punish them for touching the site, not try to shoot them before they get onto site and then die before they even get there and have a chance to try to plant, right? Let them get into site, get through the choke, right? You hold down site, you let them trickle through the choke, and you kill them as they come onto site. Or you try to do that, right? Like, I feel like that's a feasible thing. If you hold crosses with your teammates, you hold areas with your teammates so you can peek them so that your teammates can see where they are on the map, so that your teammates can then you bait basically for your teammates. So you look down long, and they're trying to shoot at you. You're popping shots at them. You're baiting them into fighting you so that your teammate that they don't see pops out and shoots them, right? Like, because they're trying to push on the site and fight you, your teammate is waiting in the cut somewhere where as soon as they push through the choke, they get killed. And then when another one tries to come in and trade them, you kill the other person that's trying to trade them. Like, stuff like that. But people don't think about that type of stuff. They're just like, I gotta get these kills. I gotta get the kills.
This bought them a lot of time for rotations to come in from the other site and forced FaZe to use a lot of extra utility to clear all the deeper angles on a site. Sentinels were very careful with their positioning to make sure that all of their players were able to be traded once the fighting did start, and this meant that FaZe was never really able to snowball a round by getting one pick after the next after the next. One other thing that Sentinels consistently did was investing in an operator on defense, which is easily the best gun in the game to punish attackers who are rushing towards the site. I was thoroughly impressed by how clean and disciplined of a game Sentinels were able to play, and it really outclassed FaZe, who had no answers to this perfect counter to their style of play. Alright, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and if you haven't already, please...
You counter aggression with patience, right? Counter aggression with a little patience. You got to back up and allow them to aggress, because if your aggression isn't better than theirs, and especially on attack, you don't want to, on defense, you don't want to be super aggressive, right? You don't want to be super aggressive if your attackers are super aggressive, because it's going to benefit them because they're attacking. They're supposed to be aggressing. They're supposed to be aggressing the site and doing whatever they can to get in on the site, and you have to stop them, right? So if you're being aggressive and then they're being more aggressive or equally as aggressive, and you're getting killed and your team is getting killed and picked off for being too aggressive, when you're on defense and you got to play a little bit more defense, put a little more defense in your defense. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you put a little more defense and patience and allow them to push forward and punish them and make it harder for them to get onto site. So to give you more time for your team to get there to help you defend, right? Because then worst comes to worst is like they rotate. But I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Do pros rotate? I don't feel like pros be rotating. Because, like, they got people that's waiting in the wings looking for people to rotate, right? Maybe? Is that what it is? I don't know. I've never really watched pro games. Like I need to start watching pro games. I just don't have time usually. Like usually I'll sit down and watch a pro game and then be like, I gotta work on this thing. And I don't sit down and just watch the pro games. So like maybe gotta do that one time. I gotta do that. I wanted to keep up with the games too, like keep up with challengers and stuff like that, but usually just don't. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see.